What's it going to be like to play a team? You played 59 straight games against a Canadian team in a regular season. What will it be like to actually play an American team in Anaheim?
Yeah, it was weird even playing Seattle in the preseason because we hadn't seen anyone outside of the Canadian division. So it'll be nice to play someone outside of Canada and someone back within our Pacific division.
When you play a team like Anaheim, do you have to take a look at who's on their roster other than Ryan Getzlaf?
No, I think that's with every team in the NHL outside of Canada right now because we haven't played many other teams in the last year. So you take a peek and see the guys on the team. But no, whenever you're playing within your division, it doesn't matter who you're playing, what their team, who their team is made up of. These are big games, and you have to play them early in the season.
Your coach, before the regular season started, saying, I'm going to cut Darnell's minutes back. You've played 60 minutes in the first two games, so that's 30 a game. Did it seem like you were playing 30 a game?
No, not really. Felt pretty fresh out there, so that's a good sign early on in the season, and just gotta keep that going.
Have you learned to conserve your energy as a defenseman?
I'd just be a little smarter with it. I mean, I don't know if conserve is the word. I'm still trying to be active and try to kill plays and jump into plays when the situation arises. It's just being more aware of where I am on the ice, but I don't think conserve is really the word for it.
One question about Rasmus Anderson and Yamamoto. If it had been a more one-sided game, would somebody have gone after Rasmus Anderson for headbutting Yamamoto?
You're asking if it was more of a lopsided game, if someone would have went after Rasmus Anderson?
Because it was a close game, so you didn't want to take a penalty. You didn't want to take a penalty.
I don't know if
how did you see the play? Okay,
I don't know if anyone would ever answered that question.
How did you see the play with Yamamoto?
They were mixed up in the corner. Yeah, it was, I don't know. I'm not going to preach from some high ground like I've never done anything dirty in my career. So,
thank you.
Darnell, it's obviously super early in a season, but there just seems to be a different kind of focus from your team that, take every game like it matters. How crucial is it to have a good start? And I know that 3 wins doesn't maybe seem like a lot, but it's only ever happened 6 times in the franchise in 42 years that you won 3 in a row. How important do you think it is to get off to a super good start?
Yeah, I think that's one of the main focuses, especially when you come into camp and start off a season. You want to start the season off on the right foot, and I think a lot of time, if you could put yourself, your team in a good situation, after the first month or so, racking up wins and being able to put points together, it's an advantage that you can use throughout the season. So these are, I know it's the 3rd game of the year, but it's a huge game for us, and we're looking forward to continuing some of the things we've done well so far.
And you mentioned it's odd not seeing these teams because some of them haven't seen in almost 2 years. Is the penalty kill the hardest part of that? Just because, power plays, there's a lot of high percentages early on. Do you think the newness of seeing teams you haven't seen plays a part in that?
Yeah, you got to zone in a little more on video and what the team's going to, the tendencies of the other team and the players, where they line up on their PP. But, yeah, it's at the beginning of the year, it's a little scrambly because, as a PK, you're trying to settle in. When do you go? When do you stay? But no, it's a good challenge for us. Like you said, there's always high PP numbers early on in the season, but as a PK, that's you want to limit the amount of goals going in net.
There's a lot of talk coming into the year about just making sure you guys got off that Jason was referring to. Last year, obviously, that didn't happen. Given there is so much change in the offseason, is there a little bit of concern about that? And how does you have that concern with all the changes that happened?
Yeah, no, I don't think there was any concern because, you look at the guys that you brought in, they're all high energy, compete each and every night. Like, you need that kind of energy coming into the season because every team brings it. I mean, there's an excitement no matter where you were in the standings last year, whether you're in a rebuild or whatever. Like, there's all of that is kind of thrown out the window at the beginning of the year because there's so much excitement for each and every guy to go and suit up, and the guys we brought have brought that to a whole nother level. So there was no concern at all, but it was good to do it for the first 2 games. And the great thing about playing 82 games is there's a lot more work to be done.
I know you're a guy that watches a lot of video of yourself. You strive for constant improvement. Did you kind of figure out an area or two in the summer that you wanted to kind of hone and take your game to a next level?
Yeah, I think that, just being able to, compete a little bit harder to win battles and then make plays after winning those battles. That's one area I think, to always, as a D man, like as cliche as it is, you always want to clean up your gap and kill as many plays as you can before they enter your zone. So that's another area that I think every year you can really improve on, and that's something that I looked at tape and something that I hope to pick up and be better at as each game goes on.
Jim Playfair told me how you're the first player who ever approached him to say, you watch every game in the summer. You take notes, you have your notebook, and then every 10 games up. How long have you been doing that? How many summers?
Oh, only a couple now. It kind of came it's probably the year the new coaching staff and everyone came in. I watched video all my games before that and hadn't really I'd watched it, had a lot of thoughts about my game, what to improve on and whatnot, but I couldn't seem to nail things down that I wanted to improve on. And I was like, why don't I just take notes and go over those notes, and then every 10 games try to see a tendency or two that you could highlight out of those notes and bring together, and then see if it carries on into the next 10. So from doing that in the summer, I kind of just brought it into the regular season. So I watch every shift now during the season that I play, and if there's a tendency or two that I pick up on, I go sit down with Jimmy, and he points them out too. There's stuff I'll miss and he'll pick up, and sometimes I'll pick up on something and he'll say, yeah, I saw that too. So I think anytime that you have the ability to kind of take down notes, I think that was the big change for me, to take down notes and be able to just go back and reflect, because there's a lot of things you can watch film and pass by you, and you won't even think about it twice once you're done watching the film. But if you write it down in a notebook, you can pick up on it pretty quick.
So you'll go back, are you kind of referencing back to the previous game and looking at your notes just to see if there's a certain...
Yeah, I'll go all 10, I'll go to 10. I won't go every game. If there's something pretty glaring, I'll be able to pick it up the next game. But usually if I go back 10, there's something that you can maybe see it in 5 games as opposed to all 10. But yeah, I could pick up on it. Now,
he said that you can be coached hard. So I'm assuming then, are you a pretty hard self-evaluator? What type of notes are you writing down for yourself when you're evaluating?
There's not a ton of positive ones in there. I'm more looking for the things to clean up as opposed to pat myself on the back. Since I've been young, I came up, my dad comes from a football background, and they're all coached hard, especially back in the day. So that's how I'm used to being. So yeah, when I'm taking notes, I'm not looking for all the positives. I'm looking more so for the negatives, and if it's not negative, something that's just neutral that I can clean up on, and if it's there, that's how you improve.
But do you ever give yourself an hour, a 5-star if you make a really good play, just to mix it up?
No, if I see something good, I'll say, oh, that was good.
But you won't write it down?
You don't have to pat yourself on the back. Enough people do that.
Hey, Darnell, usually I would ask you this after a media availability, off to the side, but given the current situation, here we are, so apologize in advance. A couple of years ago, you initially broke into the league with black tape on your blade. Now you switched to white for the last couple of seasons. Why did you make that change a couple of years ago?
Honestly, I wish I could remember why. I like the way my curve looks with white tape. Maybe I'll just go. I'm not sure.
Do you know what curve you use, by the way, in terms of stock, comparable?
No, I actually I had used Carlson's curve 4 or 5 years ago, and it was too much. So then I started to use cleft stick. I used cleft stick for a couple of games, and I liked it. So ended up using the same curve as Clef. I don't know what one he uses.
How often do you really tinker around with your twig?
Oh, not at all. Once I find something I like, I hate changing. I don't know if you've seen my gloves. I got the big holes in them. I hate changing gear.
Thanks, man.
No problem.